Hello! As promised, I am here with my completed sketchbook. This is the one I mentioned finishing in a couple of videos, my couple of most recent videos. It is known dearly and kindly as my shit sketchbook. Not because of the coffee stain on the front, but because that was my attempt to lower the bar of entry. When I started using it last year, it has taken me over a year to finish this one. You'll notice it starts off quite rough and ends quite a lot better. That's because it was kind of a process of me learning to love drawing again after taking kind of almost a 2-year break with some little blips of drawing in between. So without further ado, let's get into it. The sketchbook itself is from Typo, as you can see here. I've had Typo sketchbooks in the past and I've actually really liked them. They're usually quite nice paper. Sometimes they're even a little bit toned, which can be nice if that's your preference. The paper in here is pretty good, to be honest. I didn't use anything particularly wet, but I did layer quite a lot of pens, and it took it pretty well. This was a gift. I didn't buy this myself. I just grabbed out the cupboard because most people, myself included, have a hoard of sketchbooks that need using. And when I started this, I was not in the market for a new one. I was just in the market for rekindling my creative flame. No stickers or anything on here because it's fabric. I dropped it on the floor and spilled coffee on it, and now it has this quite delightful coffee stain on the front. So, as I mentioned, this sketchbook was me just trying to get myself back into the habit of drawing again. So it starts off very strained. Basically, I moved into where I live now March last year, set up my lovely office come studio come hobby craft room, and then was not using it because I wasn't doing really anything creative in this sense. So I wanted to try and draw again. I wanted to form the habit. So I grabbed this sketchbook out that I'd had for a couple of years just sitting in a cupboard, and I grabbed a pen out, like these are just biro pens, and I would just put it next to my bed or next to me watching TV, and if I felt like drawing I would, even if it was something as basic as just drawing a shape that I'd seen in the video. This is my old journal. So you can see here I was watching Joe and Nick. They drive around America. So I sketched that, sketched a tree that was in one of their videos. This is me watching another YouTuber called A Newell of Knowledge. I really like his videos. Just my sketchbook there, well, my journal. So it starts off quite sad and strained. Pair of legs with some knees. This is actually, I was watching a Rachel and June video. This is Rachel. I've got this page here. This is Fran looking really sad for some reason. I love Fran. She's lovely and wonderful, and this looks very, very sad. Yeah, you can tell it's just rough. I'm in Struggle Town. But all I'm trying to do is form the habit. This is particularly bad. This is a lot of writing. Not that it's anything super personal, But this I drew while in the UK. It's just some poppies that were growing in a family member's in-law's garden. This is when I properly start. So I got back from the UK in winter last year, Australian winter. And then I started to kind of feel more inclined to draw, adding some colour in, using some pens here. I always have loved using highlighters in my sketchbooks. This is highlighters, and then a purple biro over the top. And I'm finally at this point trying to get the rhythm going, using colour again, actually taking some time, feeling inspired to do some stuff. I really, really like this strawberry one. I've used different highlighters and different pens to colour it, and then I have used a different selection of colours to do the line art, and I think it gives it quite a bit of dimension. It probably would make quite a nice like tattoo design. I was watching a Mainstone video when I drew this. He covered that whole thing of, you know, everyone wanting to run away to a cabin in the woods. And I like the sentiment that there's a place in you that is that peaceful place that you can tap into at any point in time. So I drew this here. Some kind of old-fashioned medieval tile-ish style designs down here, just using a fine liner. And then I obviously liked that and moved on to doing a full page of it. I do like medieval and, how else would you describe it? Like vintage artworks, I guess. So I've lent into that a bit more here. I really, really like this. Actually, wouldn't mind this tattoo, to be honest. I used this as inspiration for the first page of my mini sketchbook that I just started as well. And then here, a sentiment, I think, for everyone. When all tells you to consume, you must create. Yeah, I enjoyed this page. Still, obviously, trying to get the feelers, but that's kind of the whole point of a sketchbook anyway. Must have been raining a lot. I've drawn a rainbow up here, and I've put a week of rainbows. Probably a lyric from a song I had playing. I don't know what I watched. I feel like I watched something. Maybe someone looking or exploring somewhere abandoned, and I like the thought of like the moss and everything overgrowing statues. I remember being in the car here, sitting at the beach with my sketchbook in the car. This is just the words I want to inspire you to try it, written over and over and over again, with probably the sentiment in my head that like I'd always wanted to do creative stuff or something different. I'm wanting to try it. I'm wanting to give people, I don't know, the inspiration to try new things, to try and follow their passions while they can. You can still tell I'm struggling here because I'm writing in the sketchbook. I don't normally write in my sketchbooks. I've got journals and notebooks for that. Little drawing of, I guess, me. I don't know if that's meant to be me. Someone laying in bed. I watched a really good video about boredom, about the importance of boredom. And I noted here that when I used to do a monthly artwork for like a musical company, I would always make sure I was bored or make sure I did nothing and just listen to the music that I had to design the artwork after. I think I must have enjoyed doing the hair or something, because I then go on to do a whole page of very line art heavy hair. I used to really like doing this. You can see it in quite a lot of my older sketchbooks. So I have illustrated a few different hair types here in different styles, all kind of fruit themed. We've got some cherry, some watermelon and some strawberries here. Obviously was feeling anxious at this point in time. I do struggle with discerning anxiety from excitement, so this was probably just a little reminder for myself. And then some doodles. Again, probably still quite strained at this point, not really back into the flow of it, or not really having ideas come to mind. So this is the chorus from one of my favourite songs. I don't know if you recognise it yet. It might be my favourite song of all time. It's Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads. Always tends to play at like a poignant time. Shuffles on. It's in a few of my playlists. Exploring like the texture of the water here, kind of reminiscent of how it is in like some old anime. I really like the way it can be in those. And then I feel like I'm finally getting back into it here. These are like both from imagination but based on real places. This is at an intersection I'm near often, and the T-junction faces this like empty lot that's not been built on, and it's just like got this long grass, the distant suburbia and kind of in the background. We went for a lovely walk on part of the Hyson Trail, and there was this like lone house, and I just really like the contrast of the rolling, like very big rolling hills and the one singular white house. I turned this into a painting as well in acrylic. Down here, probably watching some people explore some old abandoned hideaways in the States by the look of it. This probably wasn't from a screenshot of the video, but just has the same vibe while I was watching something. Here I have drawn loads of tiny stuff. I do love, I don't know, I've always been a sucker for like details and really, really small things. So obviously feeling very positive that day. But we have a selection of teeny tiny stuff. Any favourites jumping out on me here? Some things that probably don't look legible, like these are like tiny staples. Teeth, we got puzzle pieces, coins, an eraser with bits coming off of it. Lots to look at. I enjoy things with lots of details, so this is obviously me wanting to draw and like making it a bit easier on myself. I did a border very similar to this in a page of my other sketchbook that I don't draw very much in, so I just used it as a backdrop for some Lily of the Valleys. Obviously had a trending audio in my head at the time. I did have to look up a font to do this. I think I looked up like a 70s, maybe like Art Nouveau font. A very simple page, but I actually really like this one. Using that pen from before that I did the line art of the strawberries in, playing around with layering and sort of rendering, I guess, a little bit with it. This is not my typical drawing style, that's for sure. Little me in here wearing a very typical Abbie outfit. I think I was watching another video. I don't know what this was in reference to, but I liked the symbolism in my head of, your idle hand holding your phone, and that is sort of like the devil finding you in a way. So I just sketched that quickly. And some quite poignant words from here. Obviously wasn't too chuffed about going to work that day. I wrote a little bit of a thing here about Christmas. I was obviously feeling quite nostalgic. Not that it's like, I don't need to hide it, but just the sentiment that, you know, I wish I could experience Christmas as a child again, I guess. There is a walkway near my old work where you come out and you face these two always well-lit bright green trees, and there was something about the two trees as you walked down this path that I always really liked. Kind of looked like the framing of the door, and I don't know, it's a bit like a surrealist painting or something. So I made that in here, tried to sort of capture a bit of the tree. Obviously went for a walk at Portnalunga Beach, and it would have been one of those days where it's hard to tell the difference between the end of the sea and the start of the sky. I have sort of illustrated that with the silver. I don't know if you can just see it. There's some silver pen on there. Got a sunset here. Using highlighters again. Experimenting a lot more in this than I usually probably would in a sketchbook. And because I'd called it my shit sketchbook, it kind of felt like I could do whatever I wanted. I didn't necessarily ever think I would show anyone this sketchbook, so I'm probably quite a bit more free and loose in it, which I didn't tend to be in other sketchbooks for some reason, even though this probably looks a lot nicer than some of my older sketchbooks, because I wasn't trying. So maybe let that be a lesson. I quite like these tomatoes. I've just sort of, I think I was trialling putting the colour down first and then doing the line art after, which I'm usually the other way around, and I quite like the effect. It's quite a lot looser. Very cute little cup of coffee or tea down here. I'm quite fond of this. Bit of a face in here because I haven't really been featuring any people so far. I'm usually someone that draws people more than anything, but I did find that while I was drawing in here, I was finding it a lot more comfortable to draw plants and like designs, things that weren't necessarily like people and faces. So I thought, oh, I should probably check if I can still draw a face. I've obviously tried to imitate some like glittery makeup here. I think it came out okay. Probably just, yeah, some writing stuff on there, and then I've just sort of doodled over the top of it. Some carrots, some heirloom carrots, and some apples. Quite like the texture of the apples on here. I think you can still tell that I'm not completely there. I think a lot of like these little ones here, quite like these small illustrations, like of people picking grapes. I'm clearly still a little bit stuck, or whether I'm wanting to draw, but the time I'm finding it was like after work and I don't have a lot of time or energy, or I'm trying to draw in bed maybe. I think probably for these two. Down here I've got some, I think in my mind I was imagining some like nice designs for like a tattoo or something, but actually quite like some of these. They're quite interesting. Some of them are a bit naff. I know there's one here that I quite like. I don't know, quite like that. Should maybe do them with ink. I had got some paint pens as a gift for my birthday last year and not used them yet. So on this page, I just sort of tried them out. It was just me scribbling, doing some very, very basic stuff. And then I combined them with my Pentel brush pen for the black down here. This was a very, very loose picture of a sky, like a sunset. Oddly, I just really like these blueberries. I think I did, I don't know, it looks like I've used Biro over the top. It's like a very interesting texture. But this was my first time using them. I didn't really know how they felt. I have used them a little bit since, but I don't think I touch them much in this sketchbook. Started playing some more Animal Crossing. I've since stopped because it's sort of like Minecraft for me. Bit of a Minecraft phase, have a Animal Crossing phase for a moment. But it was back when the hydrangeas were blooming, so it must have been, what, early, like around Christmas time, I think. They're winter in the game. Hydrangeas are my favourite flower, so I've got the gist of it here. Drawing some branches and flowers. Like I say, I was really enjoying plants a lot more than I ever did. I used to really find drawing flowers and stuff very difficult. I quite like these. The one I come back to every time is this flower here with the stars. I think it would make a really nice sticker. Also got a raspberry here. I think this is back when I'm like enjoying the sort of tattoo design stuff. I do like this down here as well. Annoyingly it's overlapped by the leaf, but it's a star and then it's got these like 3 butterflies stamped over it. More plants, because I feel like you can get away with it more. This is using a Crayola, oh my god, I can't speak. Crayola marker. What are they called? Fine tips? I can't remember what the pens are called. The ones that everyone have anyway. Same here, just a different colour. Quite like this fish. This one, I, again, didn't really, like I started the page with these along the top. I just did the pink shapes first and then I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I decided to use that and then have to turn them into these lily of the valley plants. It's quite fun. It came out with some different shapes. Another figure here with like a hair is like flowers and stuff. And then doing some hands. Are these the best hands in the world? Absolutely not. But again, I hadn't been drawing people or bodies or anything. I think the best one here is probably the piece. So I decided, you know, I think I did the same thing and I did the colour first and then sort of made the hand over the top. Some sort of character designy stuff. I used to do a lot more like this, so this is kind of me going back to what I used to do in my sketchbooks. Sort of character design, fantasy characters. Do like me an elf. I like the way the colours came out here. I layered a couple of different highlighters and it's given like, I don't know, almost looks shiny. It kind of reminds me of one of the colorways I used to put my Destiny characters in back in the day. I was going to say there's another page here. Kind of a throwaway page. I'm just sort of doodling. Not much going on. I like these little people in a row. I do find this funny. I've put seagull knee enjoyer and this little guy has his little dinky knees out. I do find seagull's knees quite funny. It's really not that funny, but they are quite cute. nothing really to note on here, to be honest. I clearly want to draw and I'm just doing anything. This is the way sketchbooks should be used though. Like, not to have to save them for best. So while I look at this and I don't think the page is full of anything that remarkable, I think the fact that I felt capable of just doing a throwaway page in of itself is remarkable, especially for me, because I can be a bit of a perfectionist. Sometimes I don't want to do stuff unless I'm going to do it the best way. But to just throw ideas out there is the whole point of a sketchbook. A couple of faces. I quite like these, even though they're very simple. This one here, I've done it in the pale pink and then I've just gone over with a slightly darker pink to add the textures in. I like the texture of the hair. And then this one down the bottom, similar, but I've kind of done it like 3-tone pink and then added some definition with the purple. We went away down south to go camping earlier in the year in February, and I took my sketchbook with me and wanted to draw. So I've done this based on Rapid Bay, where the cave is, a nice sunset or sunrise. I think it was sunset. Then I woke up early the next morning and there were a bunch of butterflies flying around. So I wanted to capture that as well. Those classic, I think they're a form of pine that you get on the coast. I really like this page. So I've got a black swan using a bunch of different highlighters again, layered. This would have been done with my pencil brush pen, and the lines were probably done with like a Staedtler fine liner. I had all of this momentum at this point to be drawing, and I had ideas and I wanted to do stuff like this. And I was trying to get an extra day off at work and it wasn't being successful. And I sort of felt like my inspiration and like motivation for stuff was slipping away from me. So I've kind of done this, and I fear I am losing my momentum. Sort of figure running. Playing with lotus flowers down here. Did this like with the coloured pens first, and then filled in the negative space after the fact with the pencil brush pen again. I really like the way this came out. And this one here just on top of the water, a couple of little tile designs. I really like this page. I like the colours, I like the layout, I like the kind of mixture of different things all over it. This feels like more like a me sketchbook page, finally. And I was obviously liking the lotus motif because I tried it out again, using some different colours here, colouring in and filling in the negative space. Here I've cracked out the paint pens again. I really like the combination of colours on the leaves here. Not something I've ever really achieved before, but they kind of look juicy, if that makes sense. But I really like this. Did some little, again, like little thumbnail-y tile designs. They're more illustrative. I quite like these. This is lotus in Sanskrit as well. But again, a nice page, very cohesive, which, you know, doesn't have to be every page, and it definitely isn't in this one. But it is nice to see pages like this. And then back down to reality with a bit more of like a casual page here. We've got me looking about as gormless as I normally do. I really like this, I don't know why. It's quite clean with the line art. Just a couple of doodles, couple of eyes. These leaves are actually quite detailed. I don't know how well you can tell. Of my, was it Swiss cheese plant? I have one of these downstairs and she is begging me to replant her. and I am simply ignoring it. It's not really a great time of year to repot plants. These I did using some pictures from Pinterest. I drew them straight in pen. I wanted to feel like I could be a bit more confident with my marks, especially for drawing people, because like I say, and like you've probably seen, I haven't been drawing many of them, especially not full figures in here. So I used the like peachy tone first, and then I used this is a pink brush pen over the top to get the details in. And I actually really like the way these came out, especially this one. This is a very weird angle that she stood at, with like her chest all the way towards like the camera. So I was quite happy with this one. Then here, I remember picking out just sort of like a limited set of the Crayola markers here to try and get a range of different colours by overlapping them. Got like this apple here. This is very cute. Like the rainbow, the colours are very, very bright. This is me. I don't have green hair though. A bird bath. This is quite a sweet page as well. I really like the saturated blues here. I think I saw another picture on Pinterest of a model that was probably posed with like slightly sheer fabric around her. So I didn't draw that at all, but I used that to draw my own. She's an elf, obviously, but she's got this sheer fabric wrapped around her, and you can just sort of see the hint of the rest of her through it. Very nice and flowy. The way I captured I don't know. There's just something about the way I tried to capture the fabric here that I really like, especially this section. I don't know, the roundness of it. It looks very fluid and painterly. I think I was using a mixture of like brush pens here, just like a range of different pens that I have. Then to fill in the rest of the page, I did some tile and vases. I've been really enjoying filling pages in doing this. One with swans here, plant growing out with some dragonflies. Sort of like a wedding-y looking one, and some plants. I don't use like bright blue very often, so it's quite striking when I flip to this page. This was another time where I don't think I knew what I wanted to draw, so I did this in layers. I kind of made my own colouring book for this page. I sketched all of these things. These are all like things relevant to me, or like my favourite things, I guess. And then I went back in and over probably quite a while, sort of coloured them in, went through and detailed them. This was a really nice way to fill in a page, to be honest. Good thing to do if you're stuck, because it's not very much effort to put the sketches in, and then it's also less effort to like colour them in and finish them. This is my journal. Like I say, my favourite flowers are hydrangeas. I love cats. Selection of pens, coffee, my headphones, etc, etc. I was out on the balcony and I saw, in a very clear day, a lot of layered trails for planes, and it looked really cool. It was like lasers cutting across the sky, so I had to kind of illustrate that. I saw a TikTok about doing very, very loose colouring and then going in and blocking it out with like a pen or a brush pen after, so I gave that a go. This is pomegranates. I quite like the way it came out. Again, it's like quite vibrant and striking on the page. This was when I was very ill and Liam went into the shops and I stayed in the car. Obviously I wanted to get out of the house, but didn't want to give everyone my lurgy and go in the shopping centre. So I sketched this in the car just with a few pens and then filled the page in with this. I don't like this. I'll be honest. I hate the yellow. I did the yellow first and then did the rest after, and I really don't like it. Similar idea to the other page with some hydrangea. I don't love this either, but I like the idea of it, if that makes sense. Some ribbons, some stars. Then I have put down a lot of marks on the page. I kind of did this page in 2 steps. I did the top part first and sort of detailed them in. There are some that I really like here. It's very hard for me to show the detail. I'm not sure how well it actually comes up on here, but we've got lily of the valley, a very lovely twisty old tree, some butterflies in a meadow itself. This is like a moon girl with under the sun in a boat. These came out really nice, and then I thought I would finish the rest of the page with some like looser shapes. These were all squares or oblongs. They were all had like a corner, easy border. These I just did some blobs and then filled them in. Got like a baby owl and then her mum watching her in the hole in the tree. Actually really cute. I really like this page. And I particularly enjoyed this landscape, which inspired me to do the next page, which is basically a whole page of that. I did the green first. Just did blobs, had no plan for them. And then I went through and like detailed them with like walls and trees, hillsides, like with different blobs sort of showing you how far away things are. I had a lot of fun with this. I really enjoyed illustrating this page. I've always loved doing, again, like small details about things. This is probably mostly inspired by the UK, where I used to live. Just like a lot of detail going on here. Very nice, very satisfying way to fill a page in. I then carry that over and add a bit more colour in on this page. I don't particularly love this page, but I like the fact that I was trying things out. Bit more like grey and gloomy. This combination of colours I really like. It's a bit different to the rest of the page. This is a bit more Australian looking. Then I found a lovely reference image. I think it's a garden in France from memory. And I did this very loose and painterly and like filled in gaps and stuff. I really like the way this came out. It feels very vibrant and very loose, but still really gets the point across of what I was looking at. This felt like a little bit of like a turning point for me. For how I could use colour and pens, especially in this sketchbook. Filled in the bottom with some of that sort of cross-stitch style that everyone's been enjoying recently. This is quite a nice page. I do like this page. And then following on from this, I did this one. This is a lot more layers of pen. You could tell because it kind of starts to get a bit more murky. And like is sort of like the paper is struggling at some points here, but I really like this one as well, even if it's not quite the same vibe. There's actually quite a lot of detail in it with the white flowers that I've added in with a gel pen after, a couple of purple wildflowers, some orange ones as well, and the reflection in the water. This again was just from a picture on Pinterest. Same old. but I really like how this came out as well. It just feels quite, I don't know, doing something like this with a lot of layers where it starts off looking not so good and then ends up looking good further along is a lot like doing a proper painting. High contrast. I've done some sort of little fashion illustrations here. Again, I think this is me wanting to draw, but like being restricted, laying in bed, and not really having like the time or mental capacity to do anything quite as elaborate as the page before. I used to do quite a lot of fashion illustrations when I was a lot younger. So these look quite retro, like they're from the 80s or something. I quite like this one, and I also like this one as well. This one has been in another video, but again, as you can see, I've not drawn a lot of people in this sketchbook, so I have just scrolled and found some reference images and gone straight in with pen to do it. I think it's really good practice to not use a pencil and to commit to using a pen. It makes you a lot more decisive. This is a sketchbook, it's only paper after all, so if you make a mistake, it's not much of a worry. I use some cohesive colours just to make it look appealing afterwards and enjoyable while you're doing it. But yeah, just in sketching. I did this straight away after. Very satisfying sketchbook page, to be honest. Nice colours that I've used, just of this lake scene. Quite like the way the detail is back here in the tree line and the reflection on the water. Some tulips. Not much to note, it's just an aesthetically pleasing page, really. I can't remember what these flowers are called, but they're like a weed in the UK, and I saw a picture of them and I thought, you know what, it would be nice to make an illustration of it. I actually really like the way this came out. I did the border first, so the border kind of detracts from it, but I did some really, don't know if you can see, I did some nice layering on the leaves. They've got some really good texture. And then I did this first, enjoyed the leaf process so much that I had to do a couple more, and then I did like a little bud. This reads, "Worry is a misuse of your imagination." I went to one of my favourite places for a lovely autumnal walk. This is from my Ponga Reservoir, which gets filled with mushrooms in autumn. It honestly wasn't that full this time, but I took a picture and the light was kind of dapple coming through while it was raining. So similar to a few pages back, I did that layering. This didn't quite come out as well, but I still think, you know, it came out well enough and it was nice practice. And then we've got this very textured illustration with negative space mushrooms down here. I quite like this. This was based on a reference image I found, I think it was like taken in Japan. So I tried to get the texture of the plants. I like the way this came out with the soft shading and then the minimal line up with the fine liner and the nice bright looking clouds. And then I just fill the page in with something from my brain. Just like a nice house surrounded by some woodland. Layer in lots of different pens to get all the different greens. Then it's a wild me. I just took a reference picture of me wearing a very me outfit, and then again layer in the pens quite a lot to get the depth of the colours. Wear a lot of black, and that is kind of boring to draw, so I don't ever really use black. I just layered a few different greys here, so you can kind of read that it would be black without it being just a blob of black on the page. This is kind of a bit of a blah page, to be honest. I did this first. I really like this. And then I kind of didn't know what to do with the rest of the page, so we got an hoin and some just sort of doodles in the rest of it. These very delicate flowers. Then this is the sketchbook I did the drawing of Aurora in. I layered a lot of pens here and the paper withstood it. This is what I mean. This paper is actually very, very nice. It doesn't feel remarkable in your hands, but when you're actually using it, it can cop a lot, and it doesn't, you wouldn't be able to use the page behind, but it's good enough for you to use. Like, a lot of layers of pen went into this, and it's completely fine. I really like the colour combinations on here. I've used a lot of brown mixed with like the fluorescent pink, yellow and orange. And I don't know, it's a nice combination. There's something about it. I was really, really happy with this. Reminds me of stuff I used to draw a bit more. I did this and then I just sort of filled the page out with stuff in the same colours. And then we are on the last page. I just did a couple of studies from some pictures I found. I really like the way these turned out. I used to do a lot more drawings in this style, very like line art heavy with blockish colours. Yeah, I really like them. Very crisp. Probably would be more crisp if I used actual like alcohol markers for some of the colours, but I still like the effect. But that's the end. Doesn't feel very crazy at the end, but if you flip through like the last couple of pages, not that one, the last, few pages, and then go back to the beginning again and see where this started, I think it really shows you how far I came with like getting back into the rhythm of it, feeling like I can comfortably draw again, feeling like I feel free to draw whatever I want again. And that was the whole point in this sketchbook. It never was meant to be a sketchbook for me to show anyone. It was just meant to be a means to an end to get me to the point where I felt comfortable drawing again and free to express myself and my ideas. For me, drawing is a form of self-care. When I don't do it, I really notice and I don't feel right in myself. So I think realistically this was a success, and I'm very, very comfortable in my new sketchbooks now, and the momentum has kept going. So yeah, this was my shit sketchbook, and I think I managed to polish a turd. I hope you enjoyed having a snoop through here. I probably waffled on way too much, but Hopefully I could keep you company maybe while you were doing something. Hopefully it makes you want to draw, and I hope you have a lovely day. And it's never too late to start something. It's never too late to open up your sketchbook and draw something, or create something. Better you make something and put it out into the world than you consume the slop that is made for us. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.